Thank you for joining me for November Astrology 2023. I'm Colleen Pearl, your astrologer, and I will be guiding you on this astrological journey. Saturn going direct this month will encourage things in a more serious direction. We will feel this happening right from the beginning of the month, although he won't actually station direct until November 4th. Extreme emotions, opinions, and impulsiveness are with us for most of the month, especially in the beginning. Fortunately, we have some beautiful aspects from Neptune and Venus to calm things down and lend focus on creativity, art, children, women, and healing. While Mercury is near the end of Scorpio, we see the brilliant mental gymnastics of that sign on display. However, just before the new moon, we could have some real fireworks, either huge natural disasters or man-made ones. The new moon on the 13th is combative and could signal some new conflicts or the outbreak of aggression in some existing situations. Diplomats and/or first responders will do their best to sort things out, but unfortunately, they will be ineffectual in their efforts. More experienced voices will work on making long-term plans to avoid future disasters altogether. Intense energy hovers over the entire month, and we will go into the full moon, which is at the end of the month, with more than a few bees in our bonnet. I'll cover the full moon in a separate video where I can give predictions for all signs. Let's talk about the planetary ingresses for the month of November. On November 8th, Venus will enter Libra. On November 10th, Mercury enters Sagittarius. On the 22nd, the Sun enters Sagittarius, and on the 24th, Mars enters Sagittarius. Now let's look at the retrograde planets for November. Saturn turns direct November 4th and has been retrograde since it stationed on June 17th at 17 degrees Pisces, 13 minutes. It will station again to go direct at 0 degrees Pisces, 31, never having made it back into the sign of Aquarius. Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Chiron are all retrograde for the entire month of November. Jupiter turned retrograde on September 4th at 15 degrees Taurus 35. It will turn and station direct on December 30th at 5 degrees Taurus 35, having only moved about 10 degrees from September 4th to December 30th. Uranus turned retrograde on August 29th at 23 degrees Taurus 5 minutes and will turn direct on January 27th of 2024 at 19 degrees Taurus 5 minutes, having only moved 4 degrees in about 4 months. Neptune turned retrograde on June 30th at 27 degrees Pisces 41 and will station direct on December 6th at 24 degrees Pisces 53, having only moved 3 degrees that entire time. Chiron turned retrograde on July 23rd at 10 degrees Aries 57 minutes and will station direct on December 27th of 2023 at 15 degrees Aries 27, having only moved 5 degrees the entire time. Let's move on to planetary action for November. Week 1 will encompass the last few days of October into November so that we have a full 7 days to talk about. On October 31st, we will have Venus trine Uranus. On the 2nd, the Sun will oppose Jupiter. On the 3rd, Venus will oppose Neptune. And on the 3rd as well, Mercury will oppose Uranus. Venus trine Uranus. Venus will be at 22 degrees Virgo, 2 minutes, and Uranus will be at 21 degrees Taurus, 37 minutes retrograde. Now, new friendships or even relationships may form under this aspect, and you may feel some familiar energy when it comes up. Venus squared Uranus several times during the summer as Venus went into Leo and then retrograded in that sign, staying there for almost 5 months. Now, sometimes the Venus trine Uranus aspect is just going to make social events really fun. You'll find that the change of pace under this one keeps you entertained and laughing. There will be a comforting aspect to this energy that makes you feel like you can trust the new people in your life, even if they only stay for a brief while. So enjoy their company. You may also feel your own personal attractiveness is boosted at this time. November 2nd, we have the Sun opposing Jupiter. The Sun will be at 9 degrees Scorpio, 17 minutes, and Jupiter will be at 10 degrees Taurus, 40 minutes retrograde, and this aspect will last about 2 days. Oh, some of the anarchists of our society will come out for this one. People with extreme attitudes and beliefs will be spouting them for all to hear. They may even get a little rowdy about it. They're committed to their causes and even willing to sacrifice for them. But in the end, it is temporary. And once the aspect is past, they will go back under their rocks. During it, though, they may rile up enough people to cause a little damage. So watch yourself. November 3rd, Venus opposing Neptune. This will also last a couple of days. Venus will be at 24 degrees Virgo 11, and Neptune will be at 25 degrees Pisces 11 minutes retrograde. Now, this is a tremendously romantic and sentimental energy, but when you toss in Virgo and Pisces, it means that most likely nobody's going to act on any of this stuff, but just everything will stay in the fantasy realm. Where I'm worried about this one is if it's combined with the Jupiter opposition energy and dredges up people who are willing to sacrifice for their cause. These sentimental feelings may fuel the fire and make an impact. On November 3rd, we also have Mercury opposing Uranus, also lasting for 2 days. Mercury is at 18 degrees Scorpio, 50 minutes, and Uranus is at 21 degrees Taurus, 30 minutes retrograde. This aspect brings extreme opinions and an impulse for independence. So, Q fans, here we go. The desire to convince others of our way out ideas is so strong during this one, and people will not let go until they feel they've won the argument. So no ability to compromise and an extreme desire to push the limits will probably cause many discussions to become extremely heated. So let's hope cooler heads prevail. And on to week 2, November 6th through the 12th. On the 6th, Mercury will trine Neptune. Also, Venus will trine Pluto. On the 8th, Mercury will sextile Pluto. On the 10th, Mercury will square Saturn. And on the 11th, Mars will oppose Uranus. So let's go to November 6th, Mercury trine Neptune. Mercury will be at 23 degrees Scorpio, 29 minutes. Neptune will be at 25 degrees Pisces, 8 minutes retrograde. And this will actually be in effect from November 5th to the 10th. This will be an excellent time for healers and energy workers and anyone who performs divination. The mind in Scorpio is very keen and able to comprehend complex issues, bringing concepts together in what may be unique ways. In the sign of Scorpio, this blending of energies will be powerful for healing, creativity, communicating secret or highly specialized information, and also for creating fantasy art. Actually, any kind of art would benefit from this aspect, not just fantasy. Inspiration and high energetic transmissions will happen under this aspect. For those sensitive to these degrees, which would be 20 to 28 degrees of the water signs, you will experience a beautiful 5-day period where you're tuned in psychically, inspired, spiritually, and possibly professionally. This will also be a fantastic period for romantic couples who choose to take their relationships to the next level or who are trying to conceive more children. Now remember, you were warned. Then we have Venus trine Pluto, Venus being at 27 degrees Virgo 24. Pluto is at 28 degrees Capricorn 3, and this will go from November 6th until the 10th. Now, Venus doesn't love being in Virgo, but there are many benefits for those who have this aspect natally. When Venus is in the meticulous and service-oriented sign of Virgo, she epitomizes the self-sacrificing mother or nanny who makes their charges the center of their world. When you combine this harmoniously with the intensity of Pluto in the sign of responsibility, you have a beautiful aspect. Here, we see parents making sacrifices for their children, siblings taking care of other siblings, grandparents either caring for their grandchildren, or being cared for by their own offspring. Loving, nurturing, extremely responsible, and caring energy will be expended on those we love and those who truly need our help. Lasting about 5 days, this could be a period where such an arrangement is set up, meaning that this aspect could be a hallmark of that relationship. Beautiful. Another wonderful consequence of this could be brilliant investments, lovely payoffs from past investments, or investments in the health or beauty industries. Pluto in Capricorn represents the larger organization or investment houses, and Venus in Virgo is the Venus industry. In Virgo, this would mean health incorporating beauty, or things like household cleaning, childcare, organizational tools, educational tools, and even things like gardening or the production of plant medicines or alternative healing modalities. November 8th, Mercury sextile Pluto. Mercury's at 26 degrees Scorpio 33, and Pluto's at 28 degrees Capricorn 4 minutes. This lends strength to the previous Pluto aspect, where Mercury gets the word out, speaks about the benefits of Venus trine Pluto, but also gives power to the people working on this. Their voices will be more adamant in protecting their charges. Mercury also rules children, so given the strength and intensity of Pluto, we will see people standing up for and advocating ferociously for children. This will last from November 7th to the 11th. Plenty of time to bring about some headlines about those precious children who are still missing from the Texas border from when Big Orangino was in office, or perhaps some progress on retrieving the many children who are captured by Russia out of Ukraine. That would be a huge blessing. On November 10th, we have Mercury square Saturn. Mercury being at 29 degrees Scorpio 36 and Saturn at 0 degrees Pisces 32. I love this energy of Mercury in Scorpio because it allows that razor sharp, keen intellect to be recognized and given the respect it deserves. Squaring Saturn is never the preferred position for anyone, least of all Mercury, but at least Scorpio and Pisces soften Saturn, and the blending of the two water signs allows for some healing, or the intellectual attention to healing, creativity, spirituality, etc. Now, Mercury will be challenged by Saturn to expose or work on issues dealing with all those things that Pisces and Scorpio represent together as water signs: intuition, healing, etc. Scorpios love keeping secrets, and Pisces spend so much time hiding things that I think they're good secret keepers too. So we may not get the whole story about this until much, much later, as the identities of most people involved will be protected. November 11th, we have Mars in opposition to Uranus. Mars will be at 20 degrees Scorpio 31, and Uranus will be at 21 degrees Taurus 10 retrograde. Mars in Scorpio is a unique energy. Mars is so strong in Scorpio that you might think it would totally dominate this aspect with Uranus. But no, Uranus in Taurus is likewise strong. The energies between these two is unpredictable, which could easily cause conflict between humans who are sensitive to these degrees. That would be 17 to 23 degrees of any of the fixed signs: Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius. The water and earth signs will not feel this in the same way. Mars in Scorpio is the sneak attack. Uranus in Taurus is the chaotic and electric plunder of earth energy. For example, exploding mountains, aka volcanoes, extreme weather like hurricanes and tornadoes, etc. So you do the math. This could bring about an attack of some kind or a natural disaster of huge proportions. We need to be aware that these things are becoming more common, and we need to be ready to help. This aspect will also affect our emotions, so we may find people falling victim to the emotional play between Scorpio and Taurus. Scorpio doing the sneaking and ultimately taunting of Taurus, and Taurus finally giving way to anger and moving a mountain to punish Scorpio. This is not playtime. This is very serious. And the energies are likewise serious. So be careful during this time, especially if you have planets and points in those sensitive degrees. And now on to week 3, November 13th through the 19th. Now on November 13th, we have the new moon in Scorpio, the sun and moon both being at 20 degrees Scorpio 43 when the new moon is exact. Here's the chart of the new moon. And all the aspects for this new moon will involve the moon if they involve the sun because they are conjunct. So every time I'm saying sun aspecting another planet, realize that there is also the emotional, the highly emotional Scorpio moon influencing it as well. So the planetary aspects for the new moon will dominate the entire week. So let's look at those in depth. We have the sun conjunct Mars, the sun opposing Uranus, the sun trine Neptune, Mercury sextile Venus, Mercury square Saturn, Mars trine Neptune, Uranus sextile Neptune, and Neptune sextile Pluto. So let's start with sun conjunct Mars. Now, Mars will be at 22 degrees Scorpio 11. And don't forget the moon is in there too. Now, this conjunction is about fighting, exploring, research. There's a lot of energy here that has to be expended somewhere. Wherever there are disagreements or needs left unmet, we're going to see fighting. This could bring about a new military conflict or some other sort of disagreement, huge disagreement between two parties, but conflict and fighting there will be. Now, Sun opposition Uranus. Uranus will be at 21 degrees Taurus, 5 minutes retrograde. This aspect is the bookend to the Sun conjunct Mars, the Sun and Moon conjunct Mars. You have idealism, selfishness, and eccentricity combining with a deep need to defend one's independence, which is Uranus, and freedom. Consideration of others' rights and freedoms and needs just don't enter into the equation. All parties will feel that they are in the right and therefore justified in fighting to defend their position. This is also an aspect bringing extremism out into the open. There's an emotional quality to this one when combined with Mars and the moon. Unfortunately, Mars is also involved with an aspect with Neptune. So, delusion about one's ideals, heroes, and even the idea of becoming a martyr is rampant. There's a restless energy here, a moodiness, a need to act out and become active and physical. This is not a happy or pretty picture if you love peace and order. The Sun trine Neptune. Neptune's at 25 degrees Pisces, 2 minutes retrograde. While this does encourage one to reminisce about the good old days, there is a lack of direction or order to the activities. This is a harmonious aspect and can encourage charitable engagement. However, most people just want to experience creativity and a pleasant day. Mercury sextile Venus. Mercury is at 4 degrees Sag 41, so yay, Mercury's in Sagittarius. Venus is at 5 degrees Libra 3 minutes. Enjoyment of other people, social activities, good manners, these will all rule the day. Also, this is good for education and relationships that remain cordial. Some people may be sensitive under this aspect, but that only enhances the polite conversation and attention to other people's feelings. So with the other aspects, they're going out of their way to not worry about other people's feelings. This aspect is going out of its way to think about other people's feelings. So you're going to have two different groups of people. This brings out the difference between Mercury in Scorpio and Mercury in Sagittarius. This is a much more impulsive Mercury, which just doesn't filter things nearly as much as Scorpio. The Sag Mercury is more likely to blurt out what they're honestly thinking, but with the Venus influence here, it'll just be an over-the-top compliment rather than a big faux pas. And then we have Mercury square Saturn. Saturn's at 0 degrees Pisces, 35 minutes. So intellect turns towards serious planning about large spaces or for other countries. So the idea of foreign plans is hinted at here with Sag and Pisces. Sagittarius and Pisces are both affiliated with other countries or foreign countries. So these plans will be challenging to formulate, but there will be a lot of impetus to get them planned. So I'm hoping that this all just has a positive aspect about all sorts of conflicts that are taking place all over the world. Mars trine Neptune. Mars is at 22 degrees Scorpio 11. Neptune is still at 25 degrees Pisces at 2 minutes retrograde. So Neptune sparks idealism under the connection with Mars. If there are conflicts due to defending one's idealism, we may find fantasy or deluded responses to the outcome or hopes for the project. Extremists, there still will be extremists, and they'll still be claiming victory even before it's secured, and idealists will believe that they can never lose. So there'll still be some magical thinking going on, and this is not great when it comes to a realistic vision of resolving war or conflicts or what one wants to achieve. Then again, most people who are in conflict or war are usually not super realistic people. And we have Uranus sextile Neptune. Uranus at 21 degrees Taurus, 5 minutes retrograde. Neptune at 25 degrees Pisces, 2 minutes retrograde. The need for meaning in one's life will be encouraged. Unfortunately, this may be pushed to the back of the mind if people become too absorbed by fanaticism or extreme ideas. So again, we have this idea of fanaticism and extreme ideas. So keep your fingers crossed that this aspect returns when the conflict is resolved, and we need help keeping the peace. And in fact, the next aspect we have is an aspect about keeping the peace, Neptune sextile Pluto. This has been with us since the beginning of 2023 and maybe somewhat before, and it continues to support peacemaking and diplomatic efforts, and it continues to keep peace paramount in most leaders' minds. All right, on to the fourth week, which is November 20th through the 26th. So the aspects for this week, the first one, Sun conjunct Mars. This is really a repeat of the same aspect that we had during the new moon. It's just that both planets, or all three planets, have moved a little bit further on. Now the moon will be out of orb for this aspect, but the sun will still be conjuncting Mars at around 28 degrees of Scorpio, 28 and 27 degrees of Scorpio. The sun and Mars will also sextile Pluto, sun being at 28, Scorpio 18. Mars will be at 28 degrees Scorpio 11, and Pluto will be at 28 degrees Capricorn 17 minutes. The sun in Scorpio just becomes way more Scorpio with this aspect because of Pluto. Organizations that are strong, they'll be stronger. Things that are corrupt or built on shaky ground, they'll be found out and they'll be shaken. Scorpios who have their sun at 25 degrees to the end of Scorpio will find that they feel very powerful. And this will give a boost to their annual review of their life for the year. And even some people who have Pluto at early degrees of Aquarius will feel the same way. Energy will be intense here and give individuals the oomph they need to finish up projects, especially ones that are performed solo or in secret, as we spoke about before. So Scorpio loves a secret, and Capricorn loves to say, I did it myself. So you'll get an intense boost of these things while Mars is sextile Pluto. On November 22nd to the 24th, we have the Sun and Mars squaring Saturn. Sun is now entering Sagittarius. It's at 0 degrees Sag, 18 minutes. Mars is also entering Sag at 0 degrees Sag, 19 minutes, and Saturn is still hovering at the beginning of Pisces with 48 minutes. We doubt ourselves quite a bit under this transit, and I'm going to give you a little love here. Who's keeping score? Why are you doubting yourself? You're making this up in your head. This is just Saturn coming through. You can use the Saturn energy in another way. Now, most people are not watching you. They're not grading you on your ability to do things. So please, just grow up and get over it. This is not a game. If you can get past the self-doubt, you can accomplish so much. And under this aspect, you will have the persistence and focus to do it. So get out of your head. I mean, review the past deeds if necessary, but get down to business during this transit. It's so powerful. Mars joins the transit on the 24th and lends even more energy to this equation. Now, you may find yourself a little bit testy over the questions of others. So, my advice to you, and I think this coincides with coming into the Thanksgiving holiday, work alone during this transit or school yourself to keep your head down and don't get into an argument over what you're trying to do. Oh my gosh, I can just see all the arguments over the Thanksgiving table and in the Thanksgiving kitchen. Just try not to argue. There's no value to it. You're with your family, people you love. All right, moving along. And the last thing that we have for November is the full moon in Gemini, which is the only aspect of things that we have until December. So I'm just going to give you a little blurb about the full moon in Gemini, not the whole thing. Now, this is a very powerful full moon. It involves a T-square between Venus up here conjuncting the south node and opposing the north node and squaring Pluto. Big stuff. There's going to be big, powerful energy there involving probably women, powerful women, and just women in general. The sun is still conjunct Mars, and of course it's also opposition the moon now. But these sets of planets are also squaring Saturn. So we have two T-squares in this full moon. And then, to complicate matters even further, we have Jupiter here making a quincunx to the sun, which is uncomfortability, but Jupiter is also sextile Saturn. So, without the square to Saturn from the T-squares, I'd say that this was going to be really positive. But since we have two T-squares here involving Saturn and Pluto, I'm going to say, that Jupiter is going to expand the whole mess with this quincunx to the sun. It's gonna cause people, though. People are going to have to come to the table for this one. You know that? Because Venus sitting on the nodes is making us look at our destiny and think about where we've come and where we're going. And Pluto is not going to let anybody off the hook. Pluto is going to be there with an intense focus on what our mission really is. The sun conjunct Mars is that fighting energy opposing the moon and squaring Saturn. So it's going to be very, very diligent and disciplined about finding a solution to these things. So I think we got a lot of powerful energy there to really get something done. All right, so that's it for me for the astrology of November 2023. I hate to leave things on a teaser, but I'm going to ask you to watch my full moon in Gemini video, which will be up November 15th on the Cool Crone channel in order to get a full picture of that November 27th full moon. I'm so glad you watched to the end. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful month. Happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next time.